Welcome to the Good Rookies podcast. My name's Faheem.
And my name is Nelly J, y'all. And we are Good Rookies.
Right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday. And guess what? It's episode 94.
94.
Y'all. Okay. As you know, we love to have these episodes where it's just Faheem and myself because the people that ask for it, they enjoy it, and they get to hear us talk a bit more about our thoughts on different items. So Faheem, how are you doing today, brother? What's going on? We're in June. We're the first Tuesday in June right now, brother. What's up?
Oh, well, weather's nice. Blessed. I think we're all blessed. So it's another day. With this podcast, I definitely think we got a lot to cover. I want to actually start, if you don't mind. Let me just do this real quick. So I just came across the Portland Trailblazers. They have got a bid that looks like this open. It's Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, and a part owner of the LA Dodgers, Alan Smolinski. They have a written offer for over $2 billion to purchase the Portland Trailblazers.
I think it's great. I mean, it makes sense. Like Nike's head office is in Portland. It's in Oregon. Right. Nike's already there. They already run. Like, if you live there, you probably know someone or you've worked for Nike. Like, that's how massive they are, right? In Portland. So them buying the team, to me, just makes sense. Like, it just makes actual sense that they own the team as well. At this point, just call it Nikeville. Don't even call it Portland. Just change the entire city name. Just call it Nike City. And that's it. Like, honestly. So I'm not surprised. It just shows, how the growth of Nike, first signing Jordan. Now they're looking to own a freaking basketball team. I'm just curious to know, because they do sponsor the league and they sponsor like the actual, like some basketball, they sponsor shoes. I wonder what type of contracts. Remember, it can kind of be issue where, hey, you own a team now, so you're probably gonna get the bids for everything else. So I'm wondering if they're gonna have to maybe make it a subsidiary of Nike or how that works. But anyway, I think it's a great thing. But I think for Portland, it's even better because now they have another backing to say, hey, come play for our team here because Nike is going to own y'all. Like, I think that's a huge marketing and a huge value for any athlete to want to play in a small market like Portland. How about you, though? What's your thoughts on this bid?
Yeah, so on this, touch upon the same two things you talked about. One was from the Portland standpoint. You're right. Portland, Nike just being a foundation from Oregon. It just feels right. With Portland, though, it's ownerships right now. For instance, the Utah Jazz out west. They've added Dwayne Wade to their ownership group. You could tell in regards to ownership groups how they're very much a lot more open to not just players, but just doing non-traditional things. We'll even go back to the Clippers with Steve Ballmer. From Microsoft. Like, there's a lot of things happening with ownership in the NBA ever since Donald Sterling, as we know with Sterling. That's kind of opened a lot of things in regards to equality. With Portland getting such ownership like this, it really speaks to the NBA's possibility where you'll have Portland's not really a desirable place. No shots at Portland if anyone's from Portland, but it's not
a shot, it's a fact. Like, right. Who says I want to go vacationing in Portland? Come on now. And y'all, we're in Canada, so we're not knocking Portland. We're just saying from an international perspective, Canadians aren't saying I want to go to Portland for vacation. You know what I mean? That's all we're trying to say. It's not like a tourist type city. That's it.
No. But having it tie in the entire state of Oregon. With the Trailblazers, I think it's a great look for the team, and also if you think about it on the basketball standpoint, where they just picked up Chauncey Billups as a coach, that's kind of I won't say it's a celebrity hire. Definitely Chauncey's well deserving of the position, but that's a name where you get Chauncey Billups in there. They've lost CJ McCollum already. They still have Dame though, and that's kind of the biggest thing, question mark that's happening
For
in Portland.
now, they have Dame. For
Right,
now.
right. So Portland, just like it's coming back to our originally saying, it's not really a desirable place. Having Nike involved with that just gives them, just from a marketing standpoint, an extra look. I do agree that with the league, how it ties in, because on jerseys now you have sponsorship on jerseys. Having Nike on a jersey and also being an ownership, I'm not sure how that works in regards to maybe a conflict of interest, but this is Nike. They can work around that most definitely. And anyway, I'll land there with that. What else you got in regards to the Portland?
Nothing. It's Portland, Faheem. I mean, what else? I mean, this is going to be a elaborate discussion. You know what I mean? Nike wants to buy it. Portland, just say yes and let's move on. Let's just go. Like at this point, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a Black owner or a person of color owning the team. So I've always said that's something, because, the NBA isn't looking to expand. They said that was announced this week. They're not looking to expand this next season. So I think I was told in 2 years is maybe looking like 2024. They're looking to think about that, but I don't mind seeing another Black owner. That's just me. But I mean, it's a smaller market. Why not? But I mean, Nike's a good bet. Like, if it ain't Nike, who else do you want to own your team? Like, if I'm an NBA ownership group, and I think most ownerships in the NBA are becoming, we see how it's worked well for us in Toronto, having a company behind a team and not just a person or a family. You know what I'm saying? Right. There's less bias. There's more of a structure behind it. So that's why I feel like, why not? I think it would work.
Mm-hmm. And just keep context. We keep saying Nike owning it. Technically, it would be Phil Knight. Phil Knight. Like in the Clippers there, where Ballmer owns it, but we don't say Microsoft owns it. So true. Phil Knight. I do think Phil Knight, he's well deserving of that, especially for what he's accomplished. Mm-hmm. It's a good cherry on top. One last thing in regards to Portland. We just mentioned Portland. The WNBA have just recently, I'm not sure if you heard, they have a short list of markets to expand to for the WNBA. I'll list them out. There's Nashville, Oakland, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Toronto, shout outs to Tita, and Portland. So Portland's on the short list. I'm saying if I was Phil Knight right now, and I know that I'm looking to get an NBA team, the WNBA is dying for quality owners. I think you should make a play, go own a WNBA team, show that you're really about the ownership and about the community as much as we know he is, and then double down with the Blazers. Any thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, Portland will not make the cut. Like, you named other bigger cities. Like, if I'm the WNBA, again, maybe okay, there's two options, right? You go to a smaller market like Portland, hoping that because they're in Portland, what else there's to do, right? They're going to sell out. Or you go to a larger market where there is a bit more traction. You can get better sponsors or bigger TV deal because there's more viewers watching it from those cities.
But also more competition in those bigger markets also.
No, I get that. But the thing when it comes to like the TV deals, it's all about viewership. So 100%. If I'm in a bigger city, I can probably get more viewers to watch it. Portland's population is probably like an 80th of California. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it just depends on just, like the strategy behind it. Like, do you care about getting butts and seats, or do you care about getting marketing? You know what I mean? It just depends on what the ownership strategy is. Because I think at the end of the day, the WNBA TV deals will all come together as one. But I do think, there's competition, but it's so hard. WNBA, because the code hasn't been cracked, like we see teams like Seattle, like winning franchises have great seating. So the WNBA, if your team's not winning, you're not going to get really good attendance. So like in the NBA, you have to see winning first before people go to the games, right? So you have to get a team in the market, but if your team's not doing well, people aren't going to watch your team losing every week. You know what I'm saying? So It's a bit of both, but I think so you named 6 cities. Right. How many will actually get the bid? Is it 1 out of 6 or 2 out of 6? Did it tell you how many?
I was hearing 2.
Okay, so which 2 do you think? Because you named Portland, Toronto. What's the other?
Right, I'll go. It goes Nashville, Oakland, Philadelphia, Portland, San Francisco, and Toronto.
San Fran, Philly, Toronto. I see other cities that will get it before Portland.
100%.
Unfortunately, even Nashville will get it before. No offense to them, but like I just think that but because they have the Nike play, it's huge, right? Nike is a big business. Wow. I just don't know if that's enough to get it, but I can see San Francisco is a really good market. People there got guap, okay, right. Silicon Valley, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I can see San Fran getting one. I can see in Philadelphia. Their fans are kind of cray-cray, but right. They're loyal, right? So, right. You know, there's other markets that I think are a bit stronger, but I feel like Portland won't make it this round. I'm sorry.
Right. And with Portland, also keep in mind Seattle, the Seattle team, WNBA team, they are like Seattle and Portland are like pretty much neighbors, right? So
not neighbors. It's a drive. I've driven from Seattle to Portland. I mean, they're not. Yeah, they're close in proximity compared to other cities. Yes, right. Yes.
And that's what I was wondering if having they don't really have a lot of WNBA cities. I wonder if having two cities so close.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah, Faheem, good point. Yeah, I think San Fran, they got a good market and they got money, and with the LGBTQ community there, it's massive there. They got like. That market will probably get it, I think, number one. And if Masai, I mean, I think Canada or making it international will be a good play for them too, right? But maybe with travel, it will increase their travel costs to travel through customs, right? So, hey.
On this list, I would go Toronto, number one, obviously, for obvious reasons. The second team I would actually think, you're right. I think you're maybe looking at San Francisco, to tell you honest truth. The team that's, I think, the least likely is Oakland.
Why Oakland?
The Golden State Warriors had just left Oakland to go across the river there to go to San Francisco.
But not because they didn't have the money, it's because they wanted to make more money, right?
Keep in mind also the Oakland A's, the baseball team, they're talking about leaving Oakland, meaning Oakland is a kind of a place where it's kind of an exodus. No one's going into Oakland. People are leaving Oakland and going to.
Well, not people. You mean companies are because there's more money. Right. Because remember, it's only because there's more money in the Silicon Valley people. That's all. It's not because Oakland's in a good market. Like they were selling out. Like they were increasing revenue and franchise revenue before they left. But because they made so much money, it's like, you know what, we can afford a better place, a better space, and also a better situation. So I think basketball, I think Oakland would be a good place only because there's so many great basketball players in Oakland. A lot of talent comes out of there. They have a good like culture. You know what I mean? I think they would probably sell tickets, to be honest, because Oakland fans are loyal as hell. Trust me, because before Steph got there were fans that were loyal to that team. You know what I'm saying? So 100%. I don't know.
The demographics of this.
But I think San Fran versus Oakland, I agree with you. San Fran. Yeah.
Since we're on just ownership, let's go to For the Culture.
For the culture. We like to highlight individuals for the culture. And today we get to highlight the one and only Mr. King James LeBron, y'all. LeBron James was announced. First of all, I think he's been for the culture at least twice in the past 94 episodes, probably third for the culture. But guys, we can't help it, okay? This man keeps doing the damn thing for the culture. So LeBron James is the first active NBA player to be worth $1 billion, not million, $billion as per Forbes. Not us, y'all. Forbes. So if Forbes says it, you know it's true. Holy moly. Faheem, us growing up, NBA players were making what? 50, 80, 90K? Maybe 100 if you're really good. Now they're making, this guy is worth $1 billion and he's still playing basketball, Faheem.
Right.
My gosh, what's your thoughts on LeBron hitting this milestone, not only for the culture, but for the fellow NBA community that he's a part of?
Coming up, LeBron, actually, as you mentioned earlier, NBA salaries back before the TV deal, and we're talking in the 80s, those times. You know, it wasn't anywhere where it is now.
No.
LeBron, before I get to LeBron, I think of Shaq. I remember Shaq and Penny, and when Shaq was at Orlando before he went to Lakers, and to sign a contract for $100 million hitting that 100 and seeing that was just like kind of outrageous. Shaq wanted $100 million. Orlando had an option to pay him $100 million. They opted not to pay him $100 million, and they gave a portion of that to Penny Hardaway. And Shaq ended up going to the Lakers. And when Shaq went to Lakers, obviously they paid him the $100 million he needed or he wanted. And from there, now for players to have $100 million, now we're at $200 million. Like, you know, things have elevated. Just the fact that it's one thing to have a player who's signed their NBA contract as a player. It's another thing for them to show their hustle in regards to their business. And LeBron's business outside of his contracts is stellar. We're talking, he's not just doing it in North America. He's got business ventures overseas. For instance, with Liverpool, who was in Champions League final. Shout out to Liverpool.
Shout out.
He was there. You know, he's global. LeBron's global. And it's just great to see not only what he's doing with the businesses, but also with the school, to see that he's reaching this height of $1 billion. Inspirational.
Yeah. And to add to what you're saying too, right? He quoted saying, "It's my biggest milestone, obviously. I want to maximize my business. And if I happen to get it, if I happen to be $1 billion athlete, ho, hip hop, hooray. Oh my God, I'm going to be excited." So he said that back in 2014 in GQ magazine. See, y'all, when I talk about manifesting the things you want to do in life, y'all, I really mean it. This man was quoted saying this in GQ in 2014 interview. And today, what is it? It's 8 years later, he's reached his milestone. So he thought it could happen. And now his 19th year, he played in the NBA, but only missed the playoffs 4 times in his career. Man's worth $1 billion. So let me break it down for y'all. His Spring Hill company is worth $300 million. Okay. Fenway Sports Group, his share in there, $90 million. All right. Real estate, $80 million. Blaze Pizza, $30 million. Cash and other investments, more than $500 million. So that includes things like the Beats by Dre in Apple 2014 proceeds. He's been involved in, I think it's called, so Beats by Dre was a publicly traded fitness company, Beachbody, acquired by Ladder. Like, this guy's been, like, what has he not been investing in? Honestly, Faheem. Looking at his investments has been insanity. You know, Blaze Pizza was nothing. And now they're worth 30, like, it's worth 30 million, like, it's created 30 million? Blaze Pizza. Who would have thought? So big up to him. Even Spring Hill Company, that's, you know, obviously based off of Akron, Ohio, and Akron. And, you know, it's something that he started, I think, raising 100 million from backers, including his advisor, Paul Watcher, and Elizabeth Murdoch, the daughter of News Corp billionaire Rupert Murdoch. So, like, he's been investing and networking. And, you know, of course, with the Spring Hill Company, that's obviously helps his platform uninterrupted, right? So, and of course, the James Robot Company marketing agency. So he does so much. It's more than just the game to him. He said it since his documentary, and now we are seeing it come into fruition. So if LeBron James' story does not inspire you, y'all, what the hell will? Okay, right. What the hell will?
And also, just another thing in regards to inspiration is betting on yourself, which LeBron did. LeBron was in high school in Akron, and, you know, he did not come from money, you know.
No.
He had an offer as being a high school phenom, where Reebok is reported to had offered him $10 million as a high school student to not meet and sign with Nike. And he passed on the $10 million offer that they'd offered him, and he went with Nike later and signed for $90 million. Just, you know, instead of making a rash decision, imagine if you don't, you're in high school, you know,
17, 18,
you know, like lunch money, you know what I'm saying? Like living the everyday high school life. To say you have they're willing to give you 10 million to not meet with somebody, that might seem very attractive.
And LeBron, to your point,
he knew his worth.
Yeah, and to your point, that's why I feel like LeBron, like he's ingenious when it comes to basketball, but I think his business acumen has always been like his street sense, like his street knowledge is just a lot of athletes don't have that. No offense. Like they may have knowledge about the streets, but when it comes to business street knowledge, like understanding business and how it runs, he's always been good at that. Like great, even at that age. So I think he's a natural born genius on the court and off the court, like for real, for real.
And
so
also even how he handled business. He didn't go to business school, but he knew enough to have the friends around him that he knew he wanted to grow with and grow with them. You know, like he has Maverick Carter, he has
Rich
Paul, you know what I'm saying? The people who he came up with, and he's still here making I want to say millions, but now I got to put some respect and throw the B in there, $1 billion with his people. So shout out to LeBron James.
A Billy. A billionaire, young. Sorry, I'm about to rhyme some Weezy for y'all. Let me stop. All right.
All right. You know what? Let's close out with That's Absurd.
That's absurd. Faheem, bro. What was absurd this week? What was absurd?
Vince
Wilfork.
Thank you. New England Patriots football player. His son was apparently charged with stealing his father's Super Bowl rings. Absurd.
Absurd. This is wild, okay? You know, there's always something around the Patriots. I don't know what's up with y'all team for you Patriot fans, but y'all always doing some kind of thing, right? Always doing some kind of thing. So Vince, for those who don't know, he played for the Patriots, I would say for 13. So he was in NFL for 13 seasons, okay? And primarily he played with the Patriots. He was drafted in 2004, okay? So Mans is 40, right? Mans is 40, has a child, and this child decides to sell his, like, first of all, winning a Super Bowl, he won it twice. So he won two Super Bowls with Tom Brady, of course. For him to win those two, that's like a milestone. That is historic, right? My question for you, Faheem, how the hell did his son get a hold of these damn rings? If I won those 2 rings, Faheem, they're locked in a safe in a bank, okay? And if not, they're on my hands. And if not, there's a security guard walking with it in his pocket. Like, how the hell is your son getting access to your damn ring?
So, well, you have to think of this though. This is his son, this is his family, right? So I don't know if, you know, like if you're at home, you don't lock the good china. You know what I'm saying? You kind of you figure
not lock the good china.
Home.
Not locked. Actually, hey, sometimes they lock the good china. I've seen some houses with the clear cabinet with the glass. They lock that thing up straight.
Yeah, that's just completely absurd. It makes me think about on a flip side, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's actually sold his rings, but for an opposite reason. He'd given them away to charity. So, I mean, that's the good thing about having a ring in regards to memorabilia. And you also do hear of NBA players who have had to sell their rings just to make ends meet, unfortunately. So, I mean, but just the fact that this wasn't a selling situation. This was Pops, I'm taking this without your permission.
Well, essentially, he didn't give him permission. So the elder son didn't even know. He thought he misplaced the rings, but investigators discovered that his son has sold them. So his dad thought that he misplaced it. Like he wasn't sure where it was, right? By the way, his son is 24. So the guy sold. So he thought he misplaced it, the father. But when he realized that his son sold them for $62,000, and then he also pawned. Remember, he sold additional things like jewelry, necklaces, and earrings. So he also pawned all those items for about $4.6K. Okay, so he made a combined $67,000 from his dad's like like lifetime achievement. You know what I'm saying? So, but hey, the father did forgive him. The rings were returned. Probably not the jewelry because they're pawned, so that's gone. Right. But his rings did get returned, and I think his son was like, but this is the thing, right? It's like, yes, you forgive your parents, but his son has to be in something like addict or gambling, because there's no way, like, people who have addiction to something, whether it's like, I don't know, gambling or drugs, that's the kind of rash thing they do. Like the money's needed for something that they owe, right? So I'm gonna put it out there. Yeah, I just feel that clearly he needed something, like, that's a desperate act to take your father's stuff. You know, that's 100%. A desperate act. So they're saying that they hope that he gets rehabilitation. That tells me that clearly he's some type of addiction that led him to stealing his dad's ring. So I'm happy that the parents forgave him. They're good. The family's good. It's just absurd that your own pickney will take your things like that. So you parents out there, I understand. Just lock up your things, man, because these kids be wilding out here, yo.
You just mentioned about the stolen goods and maybe not getting back. I would think, though, if this was, if whoever he's pawned it off to, there's got to be I guess a chain where they could find out where he went to and pawned it, and that's stolen property. Stolen property should go back to the original owner, correct?
No, I agree, but you know what? But pawn shops don't really have the best paperwork for you. Right. You know what I'm saying? They ain't like, hey, Faheem, give me your address, your email, so we can contact you. No, it's like you want to, like, it's all cash. You take the money, you dip. Like they ain't trying to have no record. That's why you go to pawn shop. You go to pawn shop to keep your stuff on the low, right? So it is what it is, man. But I'm happy the family forgave him, and that's love, right?
Definitely. Also, since you just mentioned love, let me throw this in. I was mentioning about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So Kareem, he auctioned his memorabilia about $3 million, and much of the proceeds were benefited to a charity. So that's great. And it was his rings. They sold for $60,000 to $65,000, the highest bidder. He sold his 1987 ring also for almost $400,000. He also gave a signed ball also, which went for $270,000. So we'll just balance it out. It's really horrible that someone had to be in a situation where they had to sell the Super Bowl rings, but shout out to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar balancing out the conversation.
Absolutely.
On that note, Nelly J, good job. Let's put this episode in the books.
That was episode 94.
94 straight, might I add.
94 straight weeks, y'all. So I know it's the time we do our shout outs. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick shout out. I'm going to shout out Pepsi and Gatorade. Essentially, they pulled out their investment into the Super Bowl halftime show and putting all that money into women's sports. That's correct, y'all. Pepsi pulled out. Gatorade pulled out of the Super Bowl halftime show sponsorship. That's a lot of guap. And that money's going to invest into women sports. So I read that today. Big up The Gist. The Gist always has great content by women, for women on social media. And they posted that today. So I thought it was really dope. So I wanted to shout out Pepsi. I mean, I don't like corporate people, but I'm going to shout Pepsi and Gatorade because that's a big move still. That's a big move. So.
You know what? Let me piggyback off that then, keeping it on corporate and also women's sports. TikTok, they've become the official sponsor for the Women's Euro 2022. Their global sponsor, TikTok. Women's sports, is especially in regards to women's soccer. That's one of the larger, more in regards to teams, like women's sports in regards to tennis, very big. Team sports, I'd have to say soccer is one of the bigger team sports for women. To see that TikTok, a very growing platform, has used them as their partner, amazing. So
that's huge.
Shout out to TikTok, and all the best to Women's Euro 22 as their global sponsor.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Whew. Well, y'all,
let's put this episode in the books.
Y'all, that's episode 94. If you had a good time, if you enjoyed yourself, please like and tell a friend to tell a friend. Faheem.
We are on all platforms if you're looking for us. That's Good Rookies Podcast, episode 94. Nelly J, good job.
You too, bro. Peace.